and players smiling.
But Michael Jordan is not only the best basketball player, but he's the most exciting basketball player to ever play.
Tatum fires away, pumps it in. 51 for Jason Tatum.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Big Three NBA podcast. Your co-hosts, as usual, Sherrod Blakely, Kwani, Lunis, Gary Washburn, all in the building today, and we're going to talk about Summer League in just a second. But before we get started, we want to make sure that when you're not listening to this podcast, that you're showing some love to our good friends at Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. You can download the app today and get a $50 bonus after your first $5 lineup. And as a friendly reminder, you are listening to the Big Three NBA podcast, which is part of the CLNS Media Network, where you can find our episodes, past and present, as well as a ton of other great Celtics talk content. All right, let's just start with the Celtics at Summer League. They cap off their Summer League stint with a win over Atlanta, 101-80. They finished with a 4-1 record. Gary, I know you were on the ground there. What was the biggest takeaway from you being able to see the Celtics in action?
They all looked fine. Like, there was nothing. Jordan Walsh looked like he's adapted and he can maybe make a contribution this year. Hugo Gonzalez looked like he'll eventually be an NBA player. He'll probably need some work, and as we've debated, he's probably going to be headed for Maine just to get some reps and some minutes. Amari Williams is a bigger dude than I thought. He's going to be okay. I think probably like Hugo going down to Maine. Max Shugla, I was here or there. I wasn't really impressed with him. He had his moments, but I didn't look at him and be like, wow, what a standout player. I need to see more from him. Shireman just struggled from the field. I think he's 20-something% from the three-point line, 22% from the three-point line. Had a lot of open looks, couldn't hit them. We'll see. He's the one that you thought would probably have the most opportunity to make an impression and to get minutes this year, with obviously all the lineup changes and roster adjustments. And I was not impressed. I mean, the shot needs to go down. Like, if he's not making shots, there's no real reason to have him on the floor. I mean, I know he can hustle and he can do kind of the Aaron Nesmith thing in terms of just being a guy who plays with his hair on fire, but shots need to go down because he's going to get a lot of open looks. So I thought that they looked pretty good. Well-coached job done by coaching job by Matt Reynolds, but there was nobody that I was just like, okay, this, besides Charles Bassey, who played 3 games and then went deuces and left the team, and we'll see what happens with him and whether he rejoins the team or signs with somebody else. But I thought they were okay. Nothing that I'm going to take away and be like, wow. But I think Walsh took a step forward. Shireman, we'll see. Gonzalez will be fine. Williams will be fine. Shugla and Shireman.
Well, I'm just glad that Gary went beyond all players look fine, because I thought that's where he was going to go. Shireman, he looked fine. All players look fine. This is the thing. Again, we've seen enough Summer League to know that you can't put too much stock into what guys do, good or bad, in Summer League. We've seen a lot of guys absolutely look dominant in Summer League, and come regular season games, they're like tasked for the friendly ghost. Where they at? Nowhere to be found. The guy that for me, the big takeaway was Hugo, because he really was, to me, the biggest wild card on their team, and a guy that plays a position that they're going to need to address in some way, shape, or form this season, whether it's him, whether it's Jordan Walsh, whether it's Shireman. They're going to need some help from that wing position, and he's the one guy that we really didn't have any kind of sense of what he could do, what he could not do, what parts of his game are really good, which parts of his game are works in progress. So he was the guy that I probably put the most stock in, as far as I need to learn as much about him in Summer League as I possibly can to figure out what role, if any, can he play. And he is like, I think, any other rookie, whether you're a top 5 pick or a top 55 pick, you're going to be up and down. And I thought we saw that in Summer League. We saw some very good moments from him, and we saw some like, where the hell did Ugo go moments from him. And that's to be expected. That's why the G League is such a beneficial thing for guys like him, to kind of work out some of those kinks, figure out the areas of his game that need work, and figure out the games that are parts of his game that you can actually benefit from now. I love the energy. I love the fact that he seems to be one of those guys that you're not going to worry about his effort ever being an issue or a concern. And for a team like the Celtics at this stage of where they are, as they're trying to figure out how do they move forward without taking too many steps backward. When you lose a guy like Drew Holiday, you lose a guy like Porzingis, you're probably going to lose Al, and you're not going to have Tatum for most, if not all of the season. You're going to need as many energy type guys as possible. And they're going to make mistakes. They're going to blow assignments. But will they give you that kind of energy and effort that on some nights could be the difference between them literally winning or losing a game? I think Ugo is that type of player that early on, I think that's going to be his calling card. It's just great energy, great effort, but damn, he's going to make a lot of mistakes. And you can live with that if you're the Celtics, because the team that you're putting together is not being built to win a title this year. It's built to start building the pieces towards returning to championship caliber form sooner rather than later. So for me, the big takeaway was that Ugo actually has an intangible quality, his effort, that if you're the Celtics, you're probably going to be able to get some mileage out of in spurts here and there. But by no means did he show, or frankly, any of them show the ability to be a rotational type of guy that you can feel comfortable and confident that they're going to contribute on some type of steady basis. And that goes for Shireman and for Jordan Walsh as well. I mean, again, they're obviously a little bit further down the road than Ugo is, but they show, I think, some similar inconsistencies as far as what they can do and what can they do consistently. And as Gary pointed out, and we had such a small sample size to work from, but from what we see, Bassey can play. Bassey could help them actually this year. He has a couple of very clear basketball skills that they need more of going forward. Now, whether that's in Boston, whether it's for another NBA team, or whether it's overseas, we don't know for sure just yet. But that is a guy that you absolutely anticipate will be on somebody's roster, somebody's professional basketball roster come the start of the season.
And that's the beauty of Summer League, to the points that you both made. This is a chance for the Celtics to see, are they league ready, or do they still need to develop? But that being said, obviously you mentioned, Sherrod, that it doesn't seem as though that many of them are ready to really contribute. But who would you say helped themselves the most when you do look at the big picture of this summer outcome?
I would say it was Jordan Walsh, because I think Jordan was the one guy that, for those of us who saw him during his first, summer league tour of duty and saw him at different points during his time with the Celtics, you could see that there's some potential where he has some qualities, some skills that could help you. But with him, it's consistency. It's showing the ability to make an open shot. His ability to really be a little bit more steady and consistent with what he does defensively. Those are the kind of qualities and traits that I think he showed. I think the ability to do it a little bit more consistently than he has shown with the Celtics. Will that translate? We don't know. But I think he is, at a minimum, he's given himself another shot at proving his work. Because I think if Jordan Walsh would have just played like crap and just looked out of sorts, I don't know if he would be with the Celtics come training camp. I think that would have raised lots of questions as to whether this is an investment we either need to continue to pour into, or do we need to pull the ripcord and just call it a day. So I think he did enough in Summer League to at least secure himself a chance to compete for playing time. And I think he was the one guy that of the guys that have played for the Celtics, him and Sharman specifically, he was the one guy that I think really needed this Summer League to assert himself as a guy that they could at least give some serious and legitimate thought to being someone to compete for minutes come training camp.
I'm going to say Miles Norris. He's a guy on a two-way contract that needed to show that he could just play the way the Celtics want him to play. He's a long, lanky guy. He's 6'10", can stretch the floor, shooting the three. So he has a defined role, 3-and-D guy, a guy who can be a disruptor on defense. I'm not talking about a stopper. Okay, I'm not talking about Draymond Green or nothing. I'm just talking about a guy who could be a menace on defense, play good defense, and knock down open threes. And I thought, for the most part, he didn't have a great shooting summer, but he had his moments. He also did a good job of cutting to the rim, as what he's going to have to do, cut from that corner to the rim and get easy buckets. So I thought Miles Norris was definitely an NBA player. I mean, when you're on a two-way, and there's plenty of guys in that summer league after your spot. I mean, that's the goal of many guys in summer league, is to get a two-way contract. We saw a kid, TJ Hall from Charlotte, then got a two-way contract from Memphis and couldn't play in the championship game, because he got what he accomplished. He got what he was looking for, a deal, invitation to training camp, a chance to develop. And I think with Miles Norris, and as much as, he's a guy that's kind of been overlooked, brought on last year, but to me, he's a guy that they can get something from this year. He's 25 years old. He's not a young guy anymore. So he needed to take a step forward and show that he could be that difference-making player. And I thought, for the most part, he was. He did not have a great shooting summer, but I liked the way he was able to do some intangible things, play defense, cut to the basket, and just be a menace out there and make an impact. I think that's the role they're looking for Baylor Shireman to fill. But I thought Norris took a step forward. Now he's going to still stay on this two-way contract and probably start the season in May. But I do think he could help this team with minutes here and there. And that's what you want to do. You don't want to be expendable. You don't want to be that guy who didn't take a step forward, or it's because two-way contracts, you can get released like that and then you just bring on another player, right? This is not it's not a 3-year deal for Miles Norris. So it's not like he can turn around and say, well, I got plenty of time. Like the time is now for him. And I thought that he did a solid job.
Yeah. Two-way guys need to play with a 10-day contract mentality, because you are on borrowed time if you're not smart and careful about it. And Gary, the point you made, I think it's one of the things that when people are evaluating, and fans specifically, when you're looking at guys in summer league and what their chances of playing and things like that, you need to ignore the stat sheet and focus on what your eyes are telling you. Are they moving without the ball well? Are they getting in position defensively? Are they doing the intangible things that if they're on the parent club, if they're playing with that NBA team, they're going to have to do those things to get on the floor. NBA teams are not looking for their two-way cat or their free agent pickup to get them 20 points a game. No, they need you to defend. They need you to pick. If you're out there and you're 6'10", 6'11", and you playing the Sixers, your job is to limit or foul Joel Embiid. If you're big, that's your job. If you are a wing and you're playing, the Clippers, your job is to keep James Harden as much as possible in front of you as you can. You're not going to shut him down, but if you can keep him in front of you, give your starters a chance to catch their breath before they come back in the game, those are the things that will get you in the league. Those are the things that are going to position you so that you can move from that two-way deal to a regular traditional contract, and maybe at some point get a actual multi-year deal. And you're right, Gary. I mean, Miles, I think, definitely took a step in the right direction. I still think he's got a ways to go before the Celtics will feel comfortable with him as being one of their active roster, or even, guaranteed contract type guys. But yeah, I think he's another guy that did, I think, a lot of things that if you're the Celtics and you're looking at the type of intangible type of players that you're going to need to compete this year, he's someone that you could see him getting called up from the G League for certain matchups or for certain stretches of the season where maybe you'll throw him out there for maybe 2, 3, 4 games in a row or something like that, whether it's because of an injury to someone else or whether it's just because you just need an extra body to give you a little bit of something out there. So he definitely, accounted for himself well this summer. But again, I still go back to, Jordan Walsh. To me, that's the one guy that absolutely needed to show that he belonged. And I thought he did that. So.
Okay, it's time for your weekly reminder. For those of you that are listening to the Big 3 NBA podcast, we ask that you subscribe, like, and also leave a review. And for those of you that are watching the show on CLNS, go ahead, hit that like button, and subscribe to the Celtics All Access YouTube channel, where you can find our show and a lot of other great Celtics content. Also, make sure you turn those post notifications on so that you know the instant a new video drops.
Absolutely. And while we are, giving the shout outs to folks, so shout out to our good friends at Prize Picks, which is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Don't miss your chance to cash in while watching your favorite teams and favorite athletes compete this summer. Whether we're talking about women's basketball, soccer, esports, there's so much more that you can handle when you go with Prize Picks, where you can mix and match your player projections from all different sports out there. And with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. How do you get in? It is real simple. Download the app today. Use the code CLNS to get $5 instantly off your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 off instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
All right. So the Boston Celtics are reportedly interested in a guy by the name of Ben Simmons.
That's Gary's favorite player, by the way, in case y'all didn't know that.
Who's favorite?
That's Gary's favorite player, in case people didn't know that.
So perfect cue up for me to ask him. Do you like the idea of Ben Simmons being on the Boston Celtics? Why or why not?
I mean, if you're trying to win this year, maybe he could help with a bench role, but I don't know why you would bring him on unless you really see something that he could blossom into, or you could see something he could do different than what he's been doing the last few years. I mean, Ben's a guy who we all know has his offensive limitations, does not like to shoot, does not like to score. He would rather rebound and just distribute. He's kind of got the yips when it comes to shooting the ball. And it's been like that since his Philadelphia days. They didn't, Brooklyn didn't go well. I think he had his moments this year with the Clippers here and there. So if you really are trying to win this year, I don't know why you would bring him on for next year when you can sign a young guy or bring in someone younger with more potential. I'd rather see, damn it, JD Davidson play those minutes. I'd rather see somebody with, some Jordan Walsh play those minutes. I just don't want to see Ben Simmons play here for a year. He's going to sign a 1-year deal. You would never commit to anything more than a year with him. And then so he's going to help you win more games next year. I think he belongs on a team that's probably more geared toward a championship, but he could play a 7th or 8th man. There's just too many limitations. The ship has sailed on Ben Simmons. It's unfortunate, blaming, the mental issues in terms of just not being the yips, the injuries, and just kind of probably not taking the game as seriously as he should, just messing around in Philadelphia. Then the Brooklyn thing was, a joke. And now the Clippers are, he represented himself okay. There was anything wrong with the Clippers, but why would you bring him on when you could have other guys? You could sign someone off who was good in summer league. You can give them a 1-year deal and play that guy those minutes. Give a guy who's hungry. Is Ben Simmons hungry? The answer is no. He likes the life. He's been, he's done everything. This is who he is. It's the run is over. No, I don't think Ben Simmons would be a good fit.
Wow. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you on this one, Gary. And here's why. Let me first and foremost make it very clear. I'm not a huge Ben Simmons fan, but to getting him for 1 year at the absolute basement price that you would be paying for him, I am a fan of that. And here's why. You need to create as best you can an environment that is going to be, I think, relatively competitive. And even if Ben Simmons is not playing at his peak, even if he's not going hard, he's better than a lot of guys that you're going to have on your team. And so to me, this is a proving year for Ben Simmons. If he has any shot at changing the narrative behind who he has been labeled as a player, you go to a team that's going to allow you to play, that's going to, frankly, force you to modify and tweak your game, because you can't possibly play for Joe Mazzulla and not want to shoot. Joe is going to force the issue. He's never really played for a coach who is someone who is chips all in on shot taking the way Joe Mazzulla is. So to me, if I'm Ben Simmons, if I have any shot of ever becoming a more complete all-around player, this is probably the place I want to be, because I know that this is a place where, one, I'm going to get a chance to play. Two, I get a chance to play for a coach who is going to force feed me to be more of a shot taker than I am. And three, worst case scenario is that it doesn't work out. I got my 1 year and I'll go on to the next team and the narrative will be the same. And to me, there are far more reasons why this would work than not work. And again, I'm not a huge Ben Simmons fan, but I do love the fact that he's in a position now where he has no choice but to at least position himself to change the narrative. Because damn near any other team he goes to, they're just going to let him do what he's done. Like, if let's say he goes to a team like Oklahoma City, or a team like, that's maybe a little bit closer, Orlando, a team that's closer to winning a championship than the Celtics are. He's going to go there and not shoot. He's going to go there and pass. He's going to rebound. He's going to do all the things he's done previously. And then when the season's over, he's going to be in the same boat. No one is going to want to bring him on because he's done nothing to improve his game. He is an example of what happens when the basement is relatively high, and then you realize the ceiling ain't quite as high as you thought it was. Ben Simmons does not have a very high ceiling. And at least with Boston, there's a chance to expand that ceiling a little bit because he has to become more of a shot taker.
Sherrod, he hasn't taken a three-pointer in 3 years, okay? He's taken 36 three-pointers in his career. His career. That's a Celtics first half, 36. He's 5 for 36 career for the three-point line in his whole life. His whole life.
Is that how you define being a shot taker? You got to shoot threes? Last I checked, there was a cat named Richard Hamilton who rarely took threes, but he developed a mid-range game. If you're
play, he played. Look at the Clippers. Okay, 18 games. He averaged 2.9 points. He shot 7 free throws in 295 minutes, which means he's trying to avoid getting fouled because he does not want to go to the free throw line.
Playing with James Harden has nothing to do with not getting to the line, because, of course, James is going to make sure that you get the ball where you can go to the hole.
He's useless offensively, Sherrod. He just isn't a factor at all. He's afraid to shoot. Why have him out there? He can rebound and he can give assists. If you just want somebody who's going to be – and you're going to play 4-on-5 every time offensively, which I just don't think is to me, no. He's just a guy who can rebound. Yeah, you're right. If you're playing with Harden and Kawhi and guys who can –
you ain't getting the ball go to no damn hole. You know that.
No, but yeah. So that's fine. That's a role for him. That's a role for him. But in Boston, you're talking about him taking more shots. You don't want him to take more shots. He averaged 2.9 points a game. He shot 3 times a game with the Clippers. He hasn't shot more than Sherrod. He just doesn't score. He doesn't do anything.
Yet he's a multi all-star. He's been an all-star more than once.
5 years ago, before his head got it, he got in his head. Yes, he was rookie of the year, all-star, 3-time all-star.
Gary, you act like that was in 1927. That was like 5, 6 years ago.
Sherrod, it was 5 years ago. He's hurt. He's had multiple back injuries. He's had the mental yips. This is 5 years ago, man. That's dog years for Ben Simmons. That's a long ass time ago.
Why you call him a dog though, G? I see what you did there.
Don't do that.
I'm just saying, don't do that. I ain't doing that. I'm just saying, Sherrod, 5 years for him. That's a long time ago. He is not nearly the player he once was. He was the number 1 overall pick. He was a guy, okay, he was not going to get you 25 points a game, but he was going to get you 15, 8, and 8, and a couple of steals. That was his thing. Then the 15 dropped to 10. Then it dropped to 6. Then he was afraid to shoot the ball. He's afraid to go to the free throw line. So you're playing 4-on-5 with him because the minute he gets the ball, he's looking to pass. Unless he is even if he has a dunk, as we saw, he don't even want to dunk. So if you're playing on a championship, if you're playing him, Sherrod, if you had Tatum back and Brown and like 4 shooters, and he's just the utility guy, okay. But you're playing him, and you need some offense. I'd rather see those minutes go to Shire,
Davidson,
JD Davidson, somebody with some
E-League MVP,
yes,
or maybe to Jordan Walsh, the all-time leading summer league scorer for the Celtics.
Ain't got no potential no more. The potential gone, man. It's gone. He's just a dude. He's a 6'8". He's just a 6'10" dude who can pass a little bit and rebound. He's afraid to shoot, whatever it is. He just got them the Chuck Knoblauchs. And if y'all remember that, he was a second baseman who couldn't make a throw to first. He had the yips. And it was mental. It's in his head. I'm sure he's a better offensive player than he shows, but he's afraid to shoot, and teams have to understand, okay, even if he gets the ball in the paint wide open, he is going to look to pass. Why would you want that when you're you're developing this year? You develop somebody. Find somebody to develop. Find some 23-year-old dude. Sure, I even do you a favor. Get some kid from Syracuse. Won't that make you happy?
We'll get for step back. Bring it back from
get O'Shea. If you're gonna do this, get O'Shea Brissett back. He got more upside than Ben Simmons.
Here's the thing, but Garrett, here's the thing that maybe I'm overestimating this, but it's just because I honestly believe this to be the case. I think Joe Mazzulla could be the one that can unlock Ben Simmons and make him a better player. I think Joe Mazzulla, you talk about developing players. He's
going to be his Miyagi.
Yes.
Danielson.
Because here's the thing. But, Gary, here's the thing you got to remember. When you talk about developing players, you got to have something to work with from day one to develop players. With Ben, you already have an elite passer. You already have a guy that can rebound. You already have a guy that has some very clear transferable skills that can help your team. If you are as irrationally confident in what you can do that Joe Mazzulla is, which we all know he's pretty damn confident that he can coach the hell out of a team, this would be the ultimate challenge and the ultimate, I told y'all I could coach, look what I did with this one. Because if he can somehow find a way to unlock Ben Simmons to not be a great shooter, but just be a willing shot taker, that changes so many things for the Celtics. And again, Gary, the worst case scenario is that you have a guy that can defend, rebound, and pass. That's like the worst case scenario that you'd have for next season. And again, I still think that even if you don't play him a ton of minutes, the fact that his skill set is where it's at, even without the shot making, he's going to make the guys on your team better in practice. He's going to have value whether he's on the court or not. And to me, that's why at a minimum, Gary, you need to think about this. If you're the Celtics, at a minimum, you got to give it some thought. That's what I'm saying.
Either way, it's a good.
I've thought about it. Yeah.
And you ain't going to. It's like early, and your answer is, I thought about it, and we good. We good.
This is such a great. It's clearly divisive, but also a great conversation. If you're watching on YouTube or CLNS, drop in the comments. Would you want Ben Simmons on the Celtics? I think this will be a continuing conversation until we figure out where he ends up. But before we get out of here, for all of you that are listening to the show, we do want to remind you again to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review. And for those of you that are watching the show on CLNS, go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe to the Celtics Media and Celtics All Access YouTube channel, where you can find our show and a lot of other great Celtics content. And one more thing, please make sure you turn on those notifications so you know the moment a new video drops. For Sherrod Blakely and Gary Washburn, I'm Kwani Lunis, and this is the Big 3 NBA Podcast.
Kwani, before we go, and I've been thinking about this the whole show. Just condolences to the Malcolm Jamal Warner family and all his friends. Theo Huxtable, as many people, know him as. His passing away in Costa Rica. He was 54 years old from the Cosby Show. For me and for many young people, Theo was, he was that dude. He very inspirational what he did in his life as an actor. Also had a great music career. I believe he got a Grammy at one point as well. And just really just his, untimely death is just really sad on so many levels. But just wanted to put that out there and just, certainly my thoughts, and I think the thoughts of millions are with him, his family, his friends, his followers, etc. So just before we got out of here, I want us to just at least acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Same thing with Ozzy Osbourne just passed away too, and I know a lot of people don't really know much about Ozzy Osbourne. That's another iconic figure in our entertainment space that recently passed away. But certainly Malcolm Jamal Warner is the one that I've been thinking the most about. To be very transparent about that.
No, thank you for doing that. Thank you for giving me condolences. That's all we have for this week's episode.